Hey everyone, my name is Megan Osmondson. I am the Health Promotions Graduate Assistant with Rollins Wellness Center. Before we start our workshop today, I just want to let you know that this is not a form of therapy, and there will be resources at the end of this presentation if you are looking for that clinical service. Also, if you are in need of crisis support, you can reach out to the phone number at the end of this presentation. It'll also be down below. And otherwise, please seek out emergency resources by calling 911 or going to the emergency room if you are in a crisis. Today, we're going to be discussing how you can use self-compassion to process stress and anxiety. I'd like to start off with a quote by Thich Nhat Hanh that says, "Happiness and true power lie in understanding yourself, accepting yourself, and having confidence in yourself." What is stress? Stress comes in two forms, positive or eustress and negative stress. An example of positive or eustress is muscle deterioration while lifting weights and then recovering in the days after. An example of negative stress is worrying about grades and academics to the point that it affects life in a more negative way than positive. What is anxiety? Anxiety comes in three different forms: physical symptoms, emotional symptoms, and psychological symptoms. Physical symptoms are like racing heart, sweating, headache, restlessness, and insomnia or hypersomnia, and they are often present with anxiety. I do want to say hypersomnia is a feeling of excessive tiredness even if you get enough sleep the night before. All of these symptoms tend to cause the feeling of worry and racing thoughts to be worse. Sometimes this pattern even turns into a panic attack. So when you have a feeling of racing heart, it can cause the anxiety to get worse, and you may be like, why am I feeling this way? I don't know what this is. This is really freaking me out. And sometimes, again, it can get all the way to the point of panicking and become a panic attack. Emotions connected to anxiety may include fear, shame, guilt, isolation, hopelessness, and more. Psychological symptoms like easily losing patience, difficulty sleeping and staying asleep, obsession with one or more subjects, need for outside validation or approval, restlessness, a feeling of needing to escape, avoidance of events or people that may cause anxiety to be worse, and more are also present with anxiety. If you look to the right, I have the cognitive triangle. An example of how this would work is, say you have the thought of, I'm getting a C in my chemistry class, how can I expect to be a good doctor? And oftentimes that could create a feeling of shame, isolation, hopelessness, and therefore the behavior could be, if anxiety is present, it could be, I need to leave and pick something else because I can't bear with the shame and hopelessness, or I'm not good enough to continue on. And a little bit later, we're going to discuss kind of a reframe of that and how you can use self-compassion to help with these thoughts. So let's talk a little bit about perfectionism. What is it? Perfectionism is the need to have outcomes be as close to perfect as possible, and oftentimes anything less is unacceptable. It is driven by internal pressures to avoid harsh feedback and feelings like guilt and shame. There is evidence of a heightened level of perfectionism among younger people in the past 30 years, and this is seen across all genders and cultures. Oftentimes we see this in areas like academic and work performance, like the example I gave in the slide before this, roles in relationships, both romantic and friendship alike, language and writing, including how one expresses themselves on social media. An important note about this is that perfectionism can impact both the perfectionist and those in the perfectionist's life. Oftentimes, expectations of self is also the expectations of others, even if they're unrealistic. So, for example, if someone has a perfectionist parent, that could lead to, again, the child having perfectionist tendencies in themselves. So when it comes to academic or work performance, it could be if I don't live up to the standard of my family, then I'm unacceptable. Like in the first point, if I don't have a perfect outcome, then what's the point? Which can really lead to daunting thoughts. And if you're noticing that you're having whether it's the stress, anxiety, or perfectionism, towards the end of this presentation, I will also provide resources that could help. So, how to manifest self-compassion into your self-care routine. There is no perfect way to practice self-compassion, and that's the beauty of it. The main purpose of self-compassion is to see the good in today and find meaning in the imperfections. What does self-compassion look like? Self-compassion can come in 3 different forms, and oftentimes come all together. Self-love. The little things you do and say to help remind yourself that where you are is exactly where you need to be right now, and that you are worthy of healthy change you seek for yourself. Gratitude for self and experience. Even if you seek change in your life, you find appreciation for the things that are going right and find meaning in the things that are going wrong. Finally, self-work. A form of self-reflection and behavioral changes that lead to the healthy change you seek. And I want to add here too that self-work is essential for us to continue to grow and become the people we need to be, but also having that self-love and self-compassion in the moment is crucial to be able to have happiness during this work. How can I get started and stay intentional about self-compassion? Start off with baby steps. What are the little things you can do to practice self-compassion? Journal 1 to 3 things you are grateful for each day. An example would be, I am grateful for insert special person here. And an important note before I continue, when I say journal, this could be in a formal notebook, it can be on a scratch piece of paper, it can be in the notes app on your phone, wherever you would like to journal. Again, this is your journey, and whatever is right for you will be best. Practice a mantra, either aloud or in a journal. An example would be, I am worthy of love and compassion. I challenge you right now to pause the video and say that to yourself 3 times. Welcome back. Let's continue. Reevaluate goals and expectations. Reminder, this is a unique year. You are 9 months into a pandemic, on top of working through identity development, working on academics, navigating new relationships, and other quote-unquote normal experiences of college students. What you are capable of is more than enough. Set boundaries with negative self-talk. Negative self-talk can be a real beast. Oftentimes it manifests in phrases like, I am worthless if blank doesn't happen. I am the worst. How can they love me? I only got a C. How will I ever be good at blank? Setting a boundary with negative self-talk can look like only allowing yourself to think these thoughts for a certain amount of time each day. For example, maybe 10 minutes, half hour, whatever seems capable for you right now. Consciously noting that the negative self-talk and reframing it into positive self-talk. An example, the negative self-talk could be, I only got a C. How will I ever be a good doctor? Positive reframe. I only got a C on this assignment or in this class, but I have other classes that I can or will do better in. Don't forget to take time to appreciate the journey and effort you're taking to love yourself more. Self-love and compassion can be extremely difficult, especially when we live in a world with high expectations. You got this. You are worthy of the love you are trying to give yourself. And again, resources for continued support, you can reach out to us at Rollins Wellness Center at 407-628-6340. Our after-hours counselor at 833-848-1761. This counselor is available during the off During the non-office hours, which our office hours are Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 5 o'clock, we also have the Student and Family Care Department at 407-646-2345. There will also be 24/7 community resources, including the Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-8255, or you can text them by texting the word HOME to 741-741. Something to note about the Suicide Prevention Lifeline and text line is that it is for suicide prevention, so you do not need to be in active crisis to utilize this resource. As always, if you have a very severe crisis that needs attention, please call 911 immediately or go to the emergency room. Okay, I would like to thank you all very much for listening to this workshop, and I hope that you continue to find joy and compassion for yourself in your experience, and know that everything you're going through is normal and it's okay to need help and utilize these resources if needed.